guys so much for being subscribed and following me on this journey, but that's the end of the road for me, folks.
How many times are we going to catch Zlaner looking at his left monitor? How many times are we going to catch him tracking people through walls? How many times are we going to catch him locking onto, snapping onto, and sticking onto enemies with aimbot? Endless amounts. Today we've got a clip that indicates the Zlaner is clearly using some form of ESP wall hacks. So, let's crack on with the video.
In the smoke.
Tossing Semtex! Head to the safe zone now.
So throughout that whole ordeal, you could see the Zlaner called out an enemy being in the smoke. Fair enough. Somebody throws a smoke. Chances are they're using that to push to a different direction. But the way he places his crosshair and aims down sight perfectly for that enemy to appear just in time is very strange, and then completely lasers the guy without missing a shot through the trees. Now, this isn't just the first time we've seen something like this happen. This is very similar to a clip we've seen recently. But let's break this clip down properly first. So in this clip, the call out itself about there being an enemy in the smoke isn't sus, because you can actually see the enemy behind the smoke before the smoke is thrown. Now that's a clear call out if there is even a smoke there, just in case there's somebody within it. But people are using smokes to either push towards a team or to, escape a team who are pushing them. So the smoke in this situation is like 3 or 4 different angles the enemy could have went to after throwing that smoke. The way Zlaner then perfectly places his crosshair and ADSs just as the enemy appears, that's what's strange about this clip. So let's go into it properly now.
In the smoke.
Tossing Semtex! Head to the safe zone now.
Okay, so in the smoke, perfect call out, that's fine because there's an enemy behind it and you will see it now in slow motion. We can already see over here on, as you can see from my cursor, there is an enemy already over there, but just look where the enemy is. Zlaner is now focused on the enemy down here, just to get his taps in, to get his assist SR, which as you can see gets up here. But at this point still, there was an enemy behind that smoke, even whilst he was shooting this guy to get his assist, right? So as we're pulling it back, look here now, just between these 2 white bars, this is where the enemy is. And it almost looks like the enemy is moving in the other direction to where Zlaner ends up aiming. Throws the smoke now, right? So that smoke from that point is covering the enemy's whereabouts. But Zlaner still makes the call out for the enemy being behind that smoke, or in that smoke at least.
In the smoke.
So he's seen that in his peripheral vision, right? Supposedly. And he starts to throw his grenades in there, Semtex, right? He's throwing them over. Look at the location he's throwing them grenades, right? So the enemy must be about here. That's sort of where he was anyway. But there's a way this enemy will be dipping. Now, based on information we've had in the past and arguments I've seen from people in the comment sections of videos who defend the likes of Zlaner and Aiden and Diaz Biffle, right? They will use the circle and the storm as part of their arguments. So let's use that in this aspect here. That smoke's just gone up. There's one enemy that we know is there. Look at the minimap. So the circle is to Zlaner's left, right? So surely that means the enemy should be pushing towards that direction to avoid moving further out, closer to the storm. Yeah? But in this situation, the enemy goes the opposite way. Now, that's what's very strange, is that Zlaner predicted the enemy would move the other way rather than into the circle. So that completely debunks the old argument that I've seen from thousands of people in the comment sections in the past. Now watch his perfectly placed ADS here, right? So his crosshair is placed here, and just as soon as he's ADS'd, enemy appears. Now what are the chances of Zlaner perfectly predicting that after throwing 2 grenades into the smoke With the circle being where it is and the storm pushing in from the direction it is, how can Zlaner perfectly predict that enemy moving that way and then lasering him like this? Through trees, through trees. And was that a headshot? No. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it looks like it was a headshot anyway, but that could have been the earlier one. Either way, that whole situation goes against the normal argument that we've seen from so many of Zlaner fans or so many Aiden fans or Huskers fans, right? Because the guy's running away from the circle. Everything you know about Battle Royale and the positioning and the placement and the direction you need to move at certain times it's the complete opposite from this enemy. This enemy's through a smoke and ran away from the circle towards the storm. Now, the storm's not like very close. You can't even see the storm pushing in at this point. But one thing's for sure. Zlaner knew exactly where that enemy was going to appear from at the exact time. And that's what's the strange part, because after throwing the two Semtex over here, there's like even looking at his teammates' positioning, like his teammates haven't got a clue where he is. And then he does this, look. This is very similar to something that we've seen in the past. Now, you guys might know which clip I'm talking about. We're talking about one that was in a Yildiz video, and honestly, it's pretty similar. Other than the fact that in the other clip we're about to show you, Zlaner tracks the enemy's head perfectly, but there is definitely a similarity to what is going on here. The enemy appears from behind something, and Zlaner's crosshair just happens to be perfectly placed on it, and, you know, manages to kill the enemy. Let's take a look now. So this is Zlaner again tracking somebody perfectly after they've appeared from behind the wall. Let's take a look. You guys might remember this clip. He's tracking the guy pretty much from under the bridge to the top, and the guy's head appears there and he tracks him perfectly. Now, something that I want to show you, right, is in 0.25 speed. Bear in mind, this is Yildiz video on YouTube, so I am having to use the YouTube things here, but slowing it down, watch the track here. So he moves it across there. Watch as he moves it up to the top of the bridge now. See that? He moved his crosshair over to this location, and the enemy's head has just appeared there at the exact same time. Now, this isn't something I pointed out in the first time, because we were actually concentrating on how his aim locked onto the enemy's head in this clip. But he tracked that enemy from behind the bridge, who, by the way, would be in the storm, and then pulls his crosshair up here as the enemy's head appears. So Zlaner was already moving his crosshair to this position before the enemy's head appeared. Watch. And there you have it. So again, tracking people through walls. Yeah. Still tracking him. Looks like at that moment he locked on. Now, this is not what we're talking about today, but you've seen the lock. Watch it lock now. That's where it locked. So Zlaner has been up to no good for quite a while, and this clip here indicates that he knew the enemy's whereabouts, as well as the clip we've shown today. Now, they are very similar in that aspect, the fact that he had an idea of where the enemy was, which, by the way, due to the size of the circle in this one, there's only a number of ideas where the enemy could be. But for him to then place his crosshair perfectly when the enemy's head pops up from behind that wall is a big sign of wall hacks. Now, you add that on top of the one we've shown today of him tracking the enemy as he comes from behind the smoke and that little white pillar thing, then it definitely seems that Zlaner is running wall hacks, right? But then that does answer what the hell is on his left monitor, doesn't it? I know, guys, we've known for a long time Zlaner has been up to no good, cheating his way to success using Call of Duty Warzone and a very gullible audience. Unfortunately for the audience, they're too far gone. He will always have a fan base now due to the fact he's been able to ridiculously manipulate them for a very long time. Hopefully, for their sake, they do manage to actually wake up from this weird daydream they are stuck in, believing that Zlaner is legit. He is honestly one of the dirtiest cheaters I've seen across Warzone since I've been doing this. And I think you guys would agree with that, yeah? Let me know what you think in the comments below about the clips we've shown today. If you did enjoy the video, smash that thumbs up for me, guys. Let's try and get this one to 700 likes. And if you are new to the channel, subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our future uploads. And if you want to contact me about any streamer, no matter how big or small, you can hit me up on Twitter at BadBoy Beaman. And one last thing before we go. If you're anything like me and you're dealing with daily stress and a lot of anxiety, believe me when I say this, Supreme CBD products are unreal. These gummies have helped me massively with the anxiety and stress of my everyday workload, and they could probably help you too if you're dealing with those things. I've got other products here as well, including the oil. These drops work great just before you go into bed. For anybody who has like sleepless nights, these can help massively. And I've got plenty of other products to actually test out from them. I've not tried this yet, but it's the deep freeze balm. I've also got the soft gel capsules, and the reason I chose these is because I've got a sweet tooth and sometimes you can go through the gummies a little bit too fast. And guys, if you want to go and take a look yourself, make sure you use code BBB40 at checkout to save 40%. The link is in the description below.